What's up? 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 What is up? How are y'all doing today? It is Wednesday, and that means we are going to talk about the last 3 episodes of Ironheart, episodes 4 through 6. I am your host, Emmanuel Eman Noisette. I want to thank each and every one of y'all for coming out and just hanging out with me tonight, and shout out to the replay gang as well. So before we get started, let me just go ahead and say, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. We will be talking about spoilers for Ironheart episodes 4, 5, and 6. So if you have not watched it, if you are behind, or if you just don't want things spoiled, now would be a great time to just go ahead, go on to, the Disney Plus or whatever, and go watch the episodes and come on back. You can come on back a little later. That's okay. Or if you just don't care and you're just here because you just want to have fun, that's fine too. Whatever you want to do is cool with me. But that was your warning right there. We will be going into spoilers. But first and foremost, let's see who is here today. I've got first up my man Dexter Reason. Good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Sasha was definitely in his bag. Deborah, good to see you. Listen, I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this. We obviously gonna talk about them. We obviously gonna get into it. We're gonna talk about them, but we will get into that. Last my kin, good to see you. Shar, how you doing? Good to see you. J Mart is here too. Hello. Rachel, appreciate you coming through. Paulette, always a pleasure. My squad being held down by Kristen Pratt. Appreciate you. Gothic Chick is here. Hello. S Slim, hello. Good to see you. Dastro, what is up? Who else did I see? My man Corey is here. Excuse me, mods. This might be spam. I think my boy, just my opinion reviews might have been hacked, to be posting stuff like this. So mods, if you guys don't mind, you might want to just take a look at this. I don't know if we got to take some action, but we might have to take a look at this. I don't know. Talented one, what is up? Y'all make sure y'all go subscribe to my man right there too, by the way. Tyra, good to see you. My man Theo is here. Trouble Clef, hello, formerly known as Boss. Good to see you. Aquarius, how you doing? My man Mike is here too. Hello. He's got issues. Okay, let us know. Listen, we're gonna be here for a minute. So if you got issues, or if there are things that you like, because I don't want this to just be let's hate on this show type of parade. Like, if you got things that you like, let's talk about that. If you got things you don't like, we can talk about that too. I'm going to do both, because there were definitely some things I had problems with. And then there are things that I was like, oh, this is actually pretty dope. So it's going to be a mixed bag for sure, but we will get into that. Who else did I see? I see Tracy is here. Good to see you. Sim, hello. Callow, I see you too. My man Nelson is here. We got London in the building with Stamina. Appreciate you. Andrew, good to see you too. And who else? I saw somebody else. My man Taj is here. Raymond is here. And shout out to everyone that has made it out or still coming in. Appreciate y'all. And we have got to get started. So let's kick this off with episode 4. If you guys recall, this is where we were kicking it off after the whole bank heist situation, or not the bank heist, but the heist gone wrong. John is dead. Riri is feeling guilty about it and all that. So now we kick this episode. Oh, hold on. I forgot. I got to put y'all. I forgot the new feature. I can add y'all in here. Boom. There you go. Y'all, hold on. Is it right there? Okay. Y'all can, the comment should be up there now. There you go. So now you guys can be seen and be a part of the show. All right. So let's go through. There we go. So we're going to kick off episode 4. And this is where this is a big flashback of John and of Parker, and they're getting ready to do another heist. Parker is basically about to get caught until John basically saves him. And then, of course, we flash forward to the present. The crew is meeting up after John's death, and Parker obviously knows that Riri was to blame, and Riri is, in my opinion, is doing a terrible job of looking guilty here. And let me just go ahead and sprinkle in one critique right now. I think Dominique Thorne is a really solid actor. However, in this show, I thought that moments like this, there was a little bit too much overacting. And what do I mean by overacting? I'm talking about like when someone does something and they're trying to convey an emotion or feeling in their performance and they overdo it, right? So, for example, there's a difference if someone says, be nervous, and you're like, versus there's a difference here. And I felt like there were times Dominique's performance was a little bit over the top. And I hate to say it, but it was a little Tyler Perry-ish. It was a little Zeus Network-ish, like it was just kind of like, come on, I get it. I know you're supposed to look nervous, and I get it, but just bring it back just a little bit. Just a little bit, So sorry, some people gonna be like, E-Man, why you care? Because I'm a critic. Welcome. I'm a critic. Anywho, yes, I will be pointing out stuff like this throughout the whole presentation here. But anyway, the crew meets up, and so after Parker brings this up, Riri's looking all nervous. She does go back home to analyze Parker's hood. And she can't figure out where the energy source is coming from. She checked everything from Wakanda to Kree to Stark and Pym databases. And by the way, I think we need to remember most of these things have already been made public. Remember, T'Challa opened up a lot of information, to the world at the end of the first Black Panther. So that's one of the reasons why they're able. By the way, that's why Tony Stark has nanotech. By the way. Thank you, Wakanda. And for the Kree stuff, that probably came from, I want to say Winter Soldier, because Hydra, Shield, they knew about the Kree for a long time. And Black Widow, she had dumped like all of the Shield's info on the web. So all this stuff is out there for her to look at. Anyway, while she's looking at all this stuff, her mom comes in, and this is going to be a reoccurring thing. Her mom comes in to check up on her, see if she needs help. And she ends up going away, but Riri notices that, oh no, the hood disappears suddenly, but then it reappears, mainly because it is unstable, right? Riri continues to worry about John's death, and Natalie's like, yo, you got to chill out. It's cool. Focus on the hood. We'll be okay. Now, she does suggest calling Shuri, but Riri turns that idea down immediately. And I think the reason why, if you remember, Riri, not Riri, Shuri is one of, if not the smartest person in the MCU, right? Like, I don't care what the debates are. It's pretty much there. It's pretty much already been stated anyway, or implied. If Shuri were to have been contacted here, the show would have been over. This would have been done, because Shuri would have been like, oh, that's all you got? This is what you got to do. Doop. Or, hey, send me that file. Oh, that's the answer right there. We've seen this already in Infinity War, right? With Vision. Tony Stark, brilliant. Banner, brilliant. They go up to Shuri, and she's like, why didn't you do the neural processing with the digital? And they was like, dang, we didn't even think about that. So clearly, I know Riri doesn't want to call her for a certain reason. Whatever. You don't want to call her because your show would have been over in 4 episodes. That's why you ain't want to call her. And I understand. That's okay. Shout out to Shuri in that case. But anyway, Riri goes off and she has to go find John. But he's already gone. Police came and picked him up. And everyone knows now that he's actually Ezekiel Stane. And even the news is still under the impression that Obadiah Stane is a good guy, and that, his son is ruining the family name. By the way, they got Judy from Channel 7. Shout out to Chicago News right there. Love that little small touch there. But the crew we see here, they're mentioning how there's no trace of Obadiah's body. And we all know, in the world of comics and all that, if there ain't no body, if you do not see the body, that means that there's a potential comeback coming, maybe some way, somehow. Who knows? right? But they do start asking questions about how did Stane's tech show up at the scene, and the fact that he's now taking the blame for their crimes, right? Meanwhile, we do see Parker. He is training himself to hold his breath longer, because that correlates with how long he can stay invisible while he's wearing the hood. And we see here he can do that for like up to 11 something minutes. Take that, Tom Cruise. Now he does notice the news about Stane's arrest, and that of course intrigues him and gets him thinking. Riri goes to visit Stane in jail, and he immediately calls her out for being selfish, a liar, and cheating people and all that. She goes back to I don't even know why she went here. Like this, to me, I was just kind of like, why would you even show up? Like, this was a waste of your time. And he absolutely called her out appropriately, in my opinion, because he told her multiple times, don't you leave my tech back there because it's going to get me caught up. And she messed up. Anyway, she goes back to the hideout and finds out that Parker is bringing in a new tech specialist, which, as we know, that's supposed to be her job. And he does, he mentions to her that they found, Stane's tech, and how he had wished that she would have came to him at least first. And, he's obviously playing mind games here, right? Like, they both know the truth about what happened to John, but, they have to kind of act like the other person doesn't know, blah, blah, blah. We all get that, right? Anyway, Riri is super paranoid. She's calling security camera, or she's installing security cameras, and she's giving her mom that watch to kind of protect her. And Nat wants to see Natalie. She wants to see her brother Xavier, and Riri's like, that ain't your dang on brother. You are zeros and ones. You are not real. Okay. You need to chill out because it's going to scare him, right? If you just show up. So Riri goes over to Xavier's place and gives him a watch as well. Now, she asks him if, she's a good person, and he tells her that, listen, you smart, you's kind, and you's important, right? And I loved how they had that quick little shout out for Star Trek for Aurora. In case you didn't know, of course, she was the pioneer for Black representation on TV. So shout out to Star Trek. In that case, I love the little Easter eggs with that. And of course, nice little representation for Black women. But Riri, she can't sleep, right? Like, you see her having all these issues. She can't sleep. She's sleeping in the actual iron suit, because she's like super paranoid about all this stuff. And then she's awakened by a loud noise in her mom's bedroom. She barges in, and all of a sudden, boom, there's that tech bubble that is shielding her mom. If you recall, I want to say this was like in the first episode where we saw this same bubble. This was something that she made for one of the students in the first episode when she was selling the homework and stuff. And by the way, fun fact, the mom was actually watching the X-Files, and I don't think that was like any type of coincidence. Keep in mind, Ryan Coogler is currently writing and executive producing the X-Files right now. So fun little Easter egg right there. Anyway, mom again tries to reach out and, offer some help. And Riri finally says, like, all right, I do need a little magic help. And of course, they go out there to the Sweets Reads and all that. That's the magic shop. But shout out to Stan's Donuts. Those I know that might look like a Stan Lee type of thing. Stan's Donuts is in Chicago. Okay, that is like, I got one by my job. Okay, so that is absolutely there for that reason, because it's Chicago related, even though they're in Illinois. I don't think they're outside of Illinois, but Stan's Donut is a Chicago thing right there. Anyway, Zelma and her mom, we saw them in the previous episodes before. Zelma actually teleports them to a parallel plane. They analyze the hood, and they finally realize that, like, yeah, this actually came from a different dimension. And we do find out that Zelma also, she's been studying in Kamar-Taj, just like Doctor Strange. And while reading the tea leaves, they warn Riri about this dark magic. And basically, the entity that's, behind all this, it has the power of influence, right? So Riri and her mom, while they walking out, they getting into an argument. Mom is mad because Riri, she's mad because Riri kind of played her, right? She's like, oh, okay, I thought you just needed some cleansing. I didn't know you was fighting a whole evil entity, And Riri's like, listen, I ain't got time for all this. I gotta go, and she's playing her mom to the left. And I will say, I have to give this mom so much more credit that I think usually is attributed to single hardworking moms that are usually in these type of situations, because she is doing her best. And shout out to her level of patience and temperament to deal with Riri and her attitude like this. Oh man. I mean, she does check Riri a couple times. I'm just saying, shout out to the moms. Anyway, Riri does get up out of there and she leaves in her suit. Back in jail, Zeke is visited by Parker. Zeke's life is now ruined, now, and Parker offers him a way out to start over and, all that by like working for him. Now, I will say, this is probably another point in the story where I was kind of like, this does not actually, I have a problem with Zeke's character in total. Like, we'll get into more of it later, but I just don't think they fleshed this out enough. I get it. He's in jail. His whole identity is revealed. It just doesn't feel natural for his turn all of a sudden to be like, okay, I got nothing to lose. Let me go do some bad things. Like, I don't know. To me, it felt like it probably could have been persuaded or written a little bit better as to why he would actually take this offer. Maybe if you had shown him getting beat up in jail, or, how he couldn't take it anymore. Just give me a little bit more as to his desperation. But I don't know. I'm not going to harp on it too much. I just think that there was a little room there. I think that they could have done something else with him. But of course, we need a bad guy, so it is what it is. And Parker's super convincing, I guess. Anyway, Riri goes to Zeke's home and uses his lab to test and try and destroy the hood. And she's starting to feel overwhelmed. She goes out for a flight, and this is where she starts to continue having her panic attacks. And this is where she also gets out of the suit. They leave her, Natalie leaves her in the junkyard and goes to go get some help. Back in jail, Zeke escapes and finds Parker's crew. They already packing up all his tech and stuff. Now the suit does go and pick up Zay from his place. Nat reveals while they're there, or he does end up going, she drops him off. And, when he's like, yo, what's going on? Turns out that Nat revealed that she was the one that brought him. And, Zay automatically starts to freak out once he sees that this is just a hologram or it's just an AI. He demands for Riri that, she needs to like delete this, turn it off. And, Natalie, of course, she's looking at Riri like, what? Delete me? Like, you really considering that for real? And Riri's caught, like, she's like, yo, I want to respect Zay's feelings, but at the same time, like, we could just reboot you, like she's really thinking about it. And at this point, Natalie obviously, she's caught in her feelings, and she's just like, yeah, I don't like this. And she ends up leaving with the suit at that. And Zay does give her back the watch, and he leaves. Now, this is one other thing. And yes, I will nitpick this as well. One of the issues I have with the show is definitely the writing and the dialogue, because I think there are moments, and you know what? Forgive me right now if I'm going to be in my maleness with this, but the dialogue between Zay and Riri does not always feel genuine, and it doesn't always feel authentic. It feels and sounds to me more like a woman writing for a man, because I'm sitting here thinking a lot of the things that he was saying, I don't think a guy would be in an emotional state and be upset and be that articulate and eloquent with his feelings to communicate that to her at that time. Not saying he's incapable of expressing himself. I'm just saying, if you just found out your dead sister is now an AI and it bothers you that much, I don't think you would really be in a place where you can get your thoughts together and be in tune with your emotions and sit here and be like, no, this, like that. Just, I'm like, nah. First of all, if he was from the south side of Chicago, he would have cussed her out. First of all, he'd be like, B, what are you doing? Nah, F that. This, that. I'm just saying, if you're going to keep it real, keep it real. So anyway, that's just, it's just something that I noticed. And the reason why I thought about that was because I remember I was watching Aaron Sorkin. He did the Social Network, award-winning writer. And I remember he was saying something about like how when people talk in certain dialogue, like the things that stand out are usually the things that you don't pay attention to. Like how when people stutter or when people are having a conversation, they overtalk each other. You know, it's little stuff like that that makes conversations more authentic. Like when you're talking to somebody, you don't sit here and just have a whole conversation and the other person just sits there and listens and watches and waits until you're done talking, and then they repeat, and then you wait, and then you go. And no, usually y'all going back and forth, you know. So anyway, I think the writing could have been a little bit better. That's all. I just think it could have been a little bit better, because I thought that it missed some key moments to be more authentic with some good emotional buildup. Because I thought that scene right there where he finally saw his sister, I was like, oh, like, how is he going to react? How is he? But, you know, anyway. Okay, so Natalie is gone. She gave back the watch. And we do go, let's see, we're back in what is this? Oh, this is back with what's his name? John, Zeke or whatever. So after he escapes or whatever, he is ready to do all those biotech upgrades to his body. Now, this was something to notice here. If you notice, this was like some of the programming for the tech that's inside his body. He was the admin, but Slug changed that and made Parker Robbins the admin. So this is why Parker is able to control Zeke the whole time, because that little switcheroo happened right then and there. Anyway, you know, we see that Parker is actually getting possessed. In case you missed it, his eyes turn black in this moment. You can hear the voice whispering in his head. And we also find out that this is the time where he puts out a hit to his crew on Riri, and he wants them to take her out. All right, let's go to Omar. I'm gonna save that for a little later. Okay, Mike, what you got? Boom, nailed it. Exactly. My issues, exactly. The writing and dialogue. Yeah, I mean, like, I do think that this is, you know, it's the biggest weakness in the show to me. You know, like, there are just moments where I'm just like, man. And I think part of the reason why I'm a little disappointed is because Ryan Coogler is an executive producer on this, right? And I'm like, Ryan Coogler, you are another writer, right? Like, you take writing very seriously. And I don't know this other female writer's background or anything. I don't know her level of experience, but I do think that this needed another look over, just to kind of be like, you know, we can tweak this just a little bit. Again, they need minor tweaks. We're not talking about something that's like, oh my gosh, the writing is so atrocious, like I can't listen. But they could have gone over this one more time. I think it could have definitely used another one over and be like, hey, you know what? Dudes don't talk like that. or if somebody's having a fight like that, they're not gonna say that. Not in that moment. Just y'all could have polished it just a little bit. All right. Anyway, let's move on. Omar, I'll come back to yours in just a bit. Let's move on to episode 5. Let's see. Let me make sure I got that. Yep, we got that. Got that. Did that. Okay. So this is after Parker puts out a hit on Riri. So we jump into episode 5, and we see here that Natalie is reminiscing, of old times, and she's going over these old videos with her and Riri, and again, this is all part of like her programming or whatever. And she's clearly distracted, and Slug ends up kidnapping the suit. Zelma comes in, meets up with Riri, and they're at White Castle of all places. And she told her that she believes 50% that they are dealing with Dormammu. So I thought this was actually kind of interesting that she drew him this way, because the only thing we saw was like this big floating head of Dormammu before. So I like the fact that now we kind of have maybe a little bit better idea of what Dormammu looks like with the flaming head. And she tells her that, like, listen, Parker ain't nobody. Okay, he ain't nobody real. Like, he's just easy to manipulate, and that's why someone like Dormammu really wants him, because he's easy pickings, right? And she also tells her that, in order to stop Parker, you don't have to take him out. Like, that's all. You don't have to kill him. That's it. And Riri, she does end up getting into a confrontation with the siblings from the crew. And of course, they are here to fulfill their new hit, which is to take Riri out. And now they get into a fight. And this fight is kind of going on. They're like doing all this stuff. You see them hit her with the 300 kick. The this is Sparta kick. And let me pause here for a second. This is where I gotta pause. Now I have to do this for the direction and the writing. I did not care for the portrayal of this fight here. I already had an issue with the fact that you made these siblings random athletes that just don't play by the rules and fight in backyard alleys or whatever. Then you make these siblings fully capable of being able to take out whole paid experienced security teams, but they having trouble with this one little black girl that's half their height and half their weight. I'm just saying, like, y'all can't have it both ways. They can't be this elite team of fighters, but then they struggle with this one little girl. Now, that's my critique. Now, what I absolutely do like, is the fact that they still use this as an opportunity to show Riri's resourcefulness. This is where we saw her looking at the watch, and then as she talks them up, and she's like, all right, just make it quick. She knows what's gonna happen, and of course, once they try to shoot her, the tech bubble, the bubble pops up. I like this. I like that, because this is how I would expect someone like Riri to act. I expect for her to use her brain, and way more than any type of physical interaction without the suit. So to me, this was really cool. I did like that, because she did outsmart them. Then, of course, we also have Clown. Clown shows up, and Riri has to engage with her. I did like this matchup too. This was a little bit more believable, because Clown, all she did, she's a pyro expert, right? She knows explosives. All she was doing was throwing them little bombs around, 100. I was like, okay, now we talking. I'm with this. And what I also like is the fact that Riri was planning this whole time. She was grabbing little parts. She was running around. She was making distractions. And she came up with that little, contraption to blow Clown away. That is what I like. I love that That's what I would expect, again, to see from someone as smart and brilliant as Riri. So kudos for that. So she does take Clown out in that case. And this is just right when I had some good things to say, just right then and there. Soon as they give something, they gotta take it away. So Riri is running towards the car so she can get away. And of course, Slug is coming with the big old truck, right? Trying to run her over. Who does this? Who does? What was my man's name? What was my man's name from Game of Thrones? Who didn't know how to zigzag? What Stark was that? It was the Stark that didn't know how to zig. Who runs in a straight line from a speeding vehicle? This is what I'm talking about when I say y'all are making Riri dumb for no reason. No reason. I'm not saying she shouldn't be chased by a truck. I'm not saying you could. Let me see, y'all. I don't think people understand. I don't think you understand. You're by the street. It's nothing but a bunch of parked cars. Why wouldn't you just go right to the sidewalk? Just go right to the sidewalk. Run through an alley. Do something. Now, what you could do is you can have the truck eventually meet up with her and all that, because I know they're trying to set this scene up. I'm just saying, you made her way too dumb here. You really? She was going to outrun. You couldn't even run to the other side of the street. Just run to the other side. I don't like that. I don't like that. Now, of course, obviously, we know this is a setup for her to get the suit, to have this cool little visual moment. You know, she's got the suit. She's back with Natalie. And of course, we see that very cool, iconic moment where she stops the truck. And that, by the way, is straight from the comics. They took that straight from the comics. I love that. I hate the setup for it. That's my issue. I don't like the setup. I like how you got there. I like the end product, but y'all just sat here and made her like, I don't even want to say she's not street smart, because I get it. Maybe she's book smart and not street smart. I don't believe that. I believe that she is street smart as well. I hate it. I hate that even in cartoons. When cartoons be a tree be falling and they run along the side of the tree, I'm like, why don't you just move to the side? If you move to the side, the tree won't hit you. Anyway. Sorry. I had to get that off my chest. Anyway, Riri and Nat, they do start getting into an argument about what happened at the junkyard and Xavier. And Nat, you know, and basically Riri's problem was the fact that you left me without my suit. Like, I'm unprotected here. What's up? Right? And she flies off. Nat flies off. I'm sorry. Nat just disappears. And Riri decides to, you know, she's flying off, and she, of course, gets struck down. And it is none other than Zeke, who now is all juiced up. Riri tries to plead with him, but she basically loses power. He rips her suit apart, tells her that she needs to leave Chicago right now. And that is instead of killing her, right? He could have killed her, but he didn't. And while, you know, she's out there on the ground, she runs away, but Clown actually sees that she's clearly still alive. So this is, of course, going against Parker's wishes, right? That was the command. Riri goes home and finally admits that, Mom, I need some help. Her mom says that, listen, we can fight this together. We can do this together. And what they end up doing is they go back to their dad's garage, to her dad's garage. And of course, coming here does still trigger Riri. She's never really dealt with her grief, right? And I think that this is absolutely something that I'm okay with. I don't have a problem with the fact that, you know, because grief is not something that people just get over. It's not something that takes time. It's not something that you could just be like, oh, okay, I made a magical AI and I'm fine now. No, like, she still has her issues, right? So She's still triggered by this. And while she's there, Nat ends up showing a projection of, their memory, showing their dad, showing, basically to help inspire Riri again. And the mom actually reveals that she ended up buying the car back. And remember, this was the same car that Riri ended up selling so that she could get the parts, the money to buy parts for her last suit. So the mom came through and did that. With that, Zeke tells Parker that Riri is dead. And Clown was like, she knows the truth, obviously. And Parker, he kind of don't really believe him. He's like, man, your story need a little bit more sauce. It ain't, it's a little dry, right? You ain't got no drama, no excitement, nothing, right? So Parker does end up saying the story, except she leaves out the part that, about Riri's death. She does say that, he left her buried, right? So Parker does make an offer to Zeke, and he asks him to join the crew. Zeke declines, but Parker's like, yeah, you'll be back. Next, we see Xavier. He opens up the headphones that Riri gave to him, finds a letter in there with the Star Trek symbol. Riri is getting to work on the new suit. Mom brings in some more help with little boy Landon, and Riri realizes that she can't do this with just tech. She realizes that she absolutely needs some magic here to help. And we see here that Clown is calling out Parker for killing Stewart, aka Rampage. And we hear that clearly Parker is being influenced by the Hood, and he ends up even attacking the members. And while they confront him and call him out on this, he fires all of them, right? Now Riri meets up with Zay again and explains that Natalie helps her cope, and by keeping her around. And Zay was like, listen, I don't like it, but we'll work with it for now. Whatever. We'll try and understand it. And they get to work on her new suit. And this is where I also have questions. I have questions about basically how is she making this suit? Because it's one thing if you sit here and tell me Riri has the know-how. I know she has the know-how. I absolutely get that. I'm not questioning her genius at all. My question is, how do y'all take the car and turn it into the fully mobilized looking suit that we get later? Now, Tony Stark had a bunch of parts, right? Now, granted, those were still advanced parts. People be thinking that he just had a trash can or something and, just all of a sudden just made it up. It's not about the intellect. Not questioning that. I'm just asking, in the 1 or 2 days, how did you take a car and did y'all have a torch? What? I'm just saying, I didn't see the A to the C, the A to Z, the part in between. How did you get from that car door, that mechanical hand, and the fiction? But you know what? I'm gonna let it slide. All right, whatever. I'm not mad. I like the idea. The idea makes a whole lot of sense. And I see people were talking about magic. Magic was not introduced until after the suit was done. It wasn't until the suit was done. That's when they were like, oh, okay, now we can do some magic. But you know what? Fine, whatever. Let's just say magic did it. Fine. We're already in the world of fiction. Fine. Oh my goodness. All right. Anyway. Zeke goes back. We see her, working out and all this. And this is what I'm saying right here. Where'd she get this arm? How did she get that arm from a car door? She got that from the trunk. She got that from the alternator. Where did she get this? Anyway, now we see some magic here. Maybe y'all right. Maybe y'all are right. The magic did it. Fine. Whatever. Anyway, Zeke goes back home to leave. But he's realized here that because he wanted to get Karen. He wanted to get, or Heather, whatever. He wanted to get her, but he realized that he was very limited here. And it turns out that Parker is able to control him, as we saw with the new admin changes. Parker heads to a mansion. And by the way, this is the same security guard that shot at him, or that was going for him last time at the flashback heist. And Zeke is now taking everybody out while Parker just walks his way right into the mansion. And we see this, he meets up with this main guy here. And Parker offers him a contract to sign over the controlling power. And we find out that this is actually Parker's father. And he kicked him out of the house at the age of 12. Parker only acted out to get his father's attention, especially after his mom passed away. And of course, we gotta have our good old daddy issues, because what is a Marvel show without somebody having some good old daddy issues? Time out. Let me bring something else up. I'm sorry, but not sorry. But when we found out that Parker's dad was just basically like, I just didn't want you, I'm sitting here like, they reached their hands so deep into the Tyler Perry bag for that. I'm just saying, did you have to? First of all, what dad with money and resources is going to get rid of their biological son at the age of 12? I could have seen if you said, I sent you away to boarding school so I didn't have to deal with you, or I sent you to a military school or something like. I can see that. You just gonna take your, so again, you're this big CEO, you're worried about your image, you're gonna take your 12-year-old kid and just kick them out the house? I thought you was worried about your image. You don't think that would have been worse for your image than keeping the kid that was bad as what? And you just gonna say, I just didn't want you? Bad writing. I'm sorry. This is bad writing. I get it. You're trying to go for the emotional appeal. I totally understand. But the way that you're getting there is bad. This is a terrible shortcut. Terrible. You know what this reminded me of? This reminded me of Empire. Do y'all remember in Empire how I forget Terrence Howard's character threw his son in the garbage can or whatever? Now, supposedly that's based on real events. I don't okay. All right, whatever. All right. Like ooh-wee, boy, y'all be trying it. Anyway, so Pops just, shrugged his shoulders. I don't know. I didn't want you. Nothing personal. Anyway, Parker ain't having it. He forces his daddy to sign, tells him to leave or else he gonna kill him. Riri finally gets into her suit. And by the way, this suit looks fire. I love this suit. This suit looks really, really good. And Riri is, now getting imbued with the power or the energy from another dimension. This is the magic that Zelma is putting into her or whatever. And this looks like the chaos energy. This looks like the same energy that Scarlet Witch was tapping into, right? And keep in mind, in Marvel, the energy from the different dimensions. Keep in mind, Doctor Strange, when he pulls his energy, it's like a yellow orange, right? What's her name? Agatha, when she uses her magic, it's like a purple type of thing. So the colors do mean something. They do mean something. So the fact that she's pulling from this red energy type of place, that to me implies that there's some sort of chaos energy going on here. And that's probably the best explanation as to why, after she gets imbued with this power, Natalie starts to malfunction. And of course, Natalie is no longer found, right? We can't find her. She disappears. She out of here. So, Zelma does say that, like, hey, magic has a cost. It sounds like chaos energy has a cost, right? That chaos magic, that's got a real cost. So I think that was probably the main reason why Natalie ended up being gone. So that was the end for episode 5. All right, now let's grab some of these comments here. Tracy, no Chicago mom will let her kid gaslight her that bad. Thank you. This is what I'm saying. I'm sitting here like, listen, I know y'all trying to touch the Chicago vibes. First of all, this would have been one conversation. Hey, do you need some help? Why are the police at my door? Why are you running out in the middle of the night? Why are you over here having panic attacks? Why are you sleeping in your suit in your bed? Hell, we not having multiple conversations, especially with you giving some lip back with some attitude and some tone. What? Absolutely not. It's not happening. It's not happening. And again, this is the same Riri who recently said, girl, I can't close my door. I can't have closed doors in my house because mama said I don't pay no bills around here. How do you get that? But then you walking around. What? It's not adding up. It does not add up. Great point, Tracy. I agree 100%. Frigga, what's going on? Hello, all. I see Miss Riri's attitude to her mother calls for a belt. There you go. Listen, I ain't trying to have the peoples come after me, but I understand. Okay, I understand. Frigga, Tony had a box of scraps. That's actually not true. If you go back and watch, he actually had a lot. He had that terrorist organization send him and get him a lot of parts. Now, these weren't the most advanced parts, but they had parts. He was not like in a junkyard. Now, Riri, when she first built her stuff, she was going in a junkyard and getting actual scraps and doing stuff like that. Tony did not have that. Not saying he had the best of the best, but he did have some pretty good equipment to do what he needed to do. So, he had like military gear and stuff. So like he had a much bigger head start and he was working with way more than Riri did. Riri definitely was working from way further behind, way further. I like that. They were high-tech tech scraps. Yes, that's probably more accurate to say. That's definitely better to say. All right, so let's get on to the last episode. We're on episode 6 now, and this is where we kick it off with a flashback, and we're going back to the to Parker's flashback again, and this time we're seeing John again. He was the one that saved Parker at that moment from the security guard, and that's probably why, of course, Parker just values John so much more than just being family. And we see here that he's running into a tunnel until this dark stranger offers him a door of opportunity. And this is where we finally see Sacha Baron Cohen as this mysterious figure. He apparently has the power to even freeze people. Now why he got to freeze the black folks? Why you got to freeze the black family? Huh? Yeah, okay. And he asked Parker, like, yo, what do you want the most? What do you want? And Parker says that he wants to be rich and powerful. And we can see, this figure whispering his influence into Parker and, basically saying like, nah, you want to be richer than him. You want to be dirty, stinking rich. Parker agrees to the deal. And even though he has no idea what he's going to give up in exchange, and by the way, I think we can already say this since we're already here. This is obviously Mephisto, right? We know this. It's like the worst kept secret because could nobody not say it finally. But he does agree to this deal with Mephisto, and he sees the hood there, and Mephisto actually gives him the hood, tells him it's his now, and now we know how he ended up getting it. And we see here he's got some of that power, right? He's now rich. He signed all these contracts. He's an employee for all these big companies. So Parker is now, he's eating, his nice little feast or whatever. And he asks Zeke again about whether or not Riri was actually dead. Zeke tries to kill Parker, but he finds out, nah, sorry, command denied. And he's programmed not to harm Parker at all. Now, Parker does try to, cover up his scars with his tattoos, but yeah, that's just not working, bro. It's not working. Anyway, we see Riri is out here trying her best to get Natalie back, of course, to no avail. So for her, she's like, yo, I got to go back and get the hood. I got to go get Parker. And I don't know. I don't even know why she thinks this makes sense, to be honest. Like, and maybe somebody can help me out. But she thinks that she has to go after Parker, get the hood, and that will be a way to get Natalie back in some way, shape, or form. I don't know. Anyway, everyone warns her, you need to test the suit out before you go doing anything. And she's like, nah. I don't need to do that. And she ends up leaving with the suit. Now, here's once again, why are y'all doing my girl Riri like this? Why are you doing this to her? I find it incredibly difficult to believe that this super smart, intelligent engineer is willing to go on a live run with this suit without doing more tests. Now, we know she knows how to work a suit. We know that. But the fact that this suit is now empowered with magic is a completely different unknown. She has no idea how this thing is going to work with magic. And she's just about to run out on this plan to just go after the hood. And maybe that'll get her AI friend back. Like, oh, y'all making this hard. Y'all making this hard. I'm just saying, I mean, I know she hard-headed. I'm just saying, I don't understand the nature of an engineer. That person, an engineer, to be like, let me go try out this new thing that could completely blow up on me. No test, no. It'd be different if there was actually a sense of urgency. It'd be different if you introduced another factor and say, sorry, I don't have time to actually test because there's a bomb about to go off. Now that makes sense. You ain't had no rush. There was no reason for you to run around. Like, what are you doing? Okay. Anyway, Parker calls out Mephisto. We see him, we've seen him kind of talking to Mephisto all this time, but we didn't know it was actually Mephisto. And he, Mephisto was like, man, hold on, man. Like, I've been busy with other clients. You're not my only client. Shoot, I got a whole business to run. And Parker started to get a little buck. Started to feel himself a little bit. What they say, for the other, old school, you start to smell yourself a little bit too much, right? Parker was starting to smell himself, and Mephisto had to remind him with his deep demonic voice, watch your tone. Okay. Watch your tone. Okay. I'm the one that gave you that hood. Watch your tone. All right. Now, by the way, I will have a theory video. Actually, not a theory video, but what I'll do is on Fridays live, because I just want to sort out a few things. I know a bunch of other YouTube channels that y'all cheat on me with. I understand. They've been giving y'all all these theories. Who are Mephisto's clients and stuff like that. I think I figured it out. who his clients are or who they will be. And I will share that with y'all on Friday. And then, of course, I'll make that into a video. So, I've seen a lot of people already, give their guesses on who in the MCU they've been doing. I need y'all to wait for mine. Okay. Again, I know y'all watching other people's stuff. I need you to wait for mine. So far, I don't think anyone has put these two things together that I have so far, at least from what I've heard. So I'm gonna put them out there, and then y'all can tell me if anybody else has said it. But I think I found a way. And if this way works the way that I think it will, Kevin Feige, you better call me. You better call me because I got something for you. I got something, boy. Ooh, you ever be excited about something and you just be like, okay. Anyway, we gonna wait on that. We gonna wait. I'm gonna let these other channels put all the stuff out there, and then I'm gonna hit y'all with the left combo that y'all ain't see coming. I'm gonna hit y'all with that 2-piece. All right. Anyway, so Mephisto told him to check himself before he wrecks himself, and Riri goes to the hideout only to run into Zeke, and she realized that he's obviously been hacked, right? So she's trying to talk him down. And back with Parker and Mephisto, Parker's asking like, "Hey man, you got some more where that magic came from, man? Like, man, can I get some more of that magic? And it's basically looking like this is a drug for him, right? So I think that's the implication. Anyway, we got Riri and Park and Zeke. They get into a fight, and I'm a little surprised at something else here. And I will say this. Gosh, I hate to have to take these breaks. I'm a little surprised and a little disappointed at the same time. This is the second time Riri is fighting against Zeke, right? So she knows, or at least has an idea of what Zeke is capable of. She knows that he's biotech. She knows that he can zap her, all of that stuff, right? She just came in with a new suit upgrade. So this is a new suit. What I'm a little disappointed about here is that at no point did she ever think of building in some sort of countermeasure for Zeke. Because if y'all remember, and I hate to make the comparisons because the show has gone through great lengths not to compare her directly to Tony Stark. One thing that was always cool about Tony was like every time he had a different mock version of a suit, he would put upgrades in it based off of the failures in his last encounter. So in Iron Man 2, when he was going against dude with the whips and the electricity that shorted him out, his next upgrade, what happened? It could absorb that energy and actually charge his suit up. And I'm sitting here like, Riri, you ain't think about putting that in your suit? Like, not, you ain't think that was something to actually put in there? Oh, like dang, man. Because, to me, I'm like, yo, Riri, in my opinion, is as smart, if not maybe even smarter than Tony Stark. Maybe, right? So to me, I think that was a missed opportunity. That's all. Because this fight with, I don't like this fight with Zeke again either. Like this fight, I did not. Let me not sound bad. I'm sorry. They get into this fight, and Riri locks Zeke into like this right here. Like this shouldn't even phase her. Not with the upgrade. Anyway, she locks him into the freezer, and they agree that he has to be kicked in his groin, and that will overload his senses or whatever. And then she'll be able to like deprogram or hack him or whatever. And he's like, okay, kick me in the groin. And, she ends up doing that. She puts the little tracker thing on him, the chip. It basically gives him his control back, right? And he said to her at the end, I have millions of dollars of tech inside me, and I have all this anger, but no idea where to put it. So, according to him and Riri are not done. I don't like this writing. First of all, I understand how he feels compelled to attack Riri and to fight her because of his programming. I get that. I kind of also understand the fact that, like, before this, he's not really going full villain because he could have, but he chose not to kill her. Right? I get that too. They're having a whole conversation like they're friends, like they're still friends, you know. And even after she freed him from being enslaved to Parker, he has the wherewithal to sit here and have the emotional capacity to say, um, I have all this anger inside of me, but I just don't know where to put it. So we're not done yet. Oh my God, what bad soap opera did that come from? What is this? People don't talk like this. Like, y'all be sitting here taking these lines that a therapist will tell somebody and say, "Ooh, I'm a cook with this." People don't talk like that. This whole interaction was dumb to me. I like the fact that she had to help hack him. And to me, I'm like, you should just say, "Hey, thank you. We're even now. I still don't like that you sent me to jail, but we're even. We're good. We'll go separate ways." But y'all want to keep him as a potential villain, and you're forcing this now. This is not good. And the whole kicking the balls thing, like, a woman wrote this. I'm sorry. Let's call this out. A woman wrote this. Come on now. Y'all just be giving them ammo with this stuff. Oof. Anyway. Riri meets up with Parker and he tries to go invisible on her. I love that suit. That suit is really fly. I really like that suit. Anyway, he tries to go invisible, but bam, she hits him with the magic exploding chaos ball, and his invisibility does not work anymore, cancels it out. And we can see Parker is actually changing now. Like, he's actually getting more demonic looking with the power of the hood actually changing him. Like, into, he almost looked like a goblin of some sort. But what's a goon to a goblin? Anyway, she blows off her suit and Parker stares her down with the gun and he takes a shot at her to finish her off. Unfortunately for him, turns out this was all a fake hologram. She takes the hood away from him and he's already writhing in pain without it. So this definitely gives the implication that this thing was like a drug. It was feeding off of him or he was feeding off of it one way or another. And he begs her to, give it back. But, she's like, nah, forget you. So anyway, I do think that it's interesting that this demonstrates that if there is a magical entrapment of some sort, that it can be taken away and it's like he's not dead, right? Like he's in pain, but he's not dead. So I do think that that's kind of interesting. Anyway, she leaves him there. She don't care. She goes downstairs and she sees Mephisto eating some pizza. And this definitely ain't Chicago pizza because that pizza is cut into triangles like that. It looks more like New York style. I don't know where he's at. He's definitely not at Illuminati's, definitely not at Beggars. He's not at Aurelio's. I don't know who made him that whack looking pizza because that should be cut into squares if it is thin crust. Anyway, he forces her out of her suit and makes it disappear, by the way. So I really do like how we get to see the demonstration of his abilities and powers, and they definitely seem pretty powerful, right? And he said that he's been watching her for a long time, and he talks about her he talks her up and about how he wants to help her And he's basically hitting all the right chords and all the right notes. He's saying all the things like, hey, I help the people that don't feel seen, and stuff like that. And we know throughout this whole show, Riri has felt underappreciated, represented, or just not seen with her ingenuity and all this other stuff. So, he's poking right at her weak spots, And it was funny because she thought she was dealing with Dormammu, and he was like, ha ha ha, I'm actually Mephisto. I know Dormammu. And what I like about this was he kind of tried to downplay Dormammu, but I think there are one of two things here that was established here. One is either he's telling the truth and he is actually more powerful than Dormammu, which I find that hard to believe, or two, he's lying, right? Like he might think he's more powerful than Dormammu, but he might not actually be more powerful. He might just not like him. So what I think is also interesting here is this could be a similar situation that we saw in Moon Knight. Because in Moon Knight, remember, all the gods were just beings from other dimensions, right? These are also beings that would influence people and stuff like that. So I think that they're probably equal, just like how those other Egyptian, those other gods are probably equal, but they just believe that they're stronger than the other person. That's what I think is the case going on here. I don't think he's actually stronger than Dormammu. But whatever. But I do like the back and forth that they have. I do like that. Anyway, I also noticed here that he can read minds. He can read minds because as he's talking to her and he's like, yo, what do you want? She immediately starts to think about Natalie. And he was like, aha. So it's interesting. Again, he can either read your heart or your mind, however you want to call it. So he's definitely powerful. He's definitely powerful for sure. And he's definitely a problem. We do see here, flash forward, Riri studying and all that until we hear Natalie calling her out. And by the way, I love the fact that she's looking into the magic, right? She's not like trying to build a suit. She's trying to deconstruct the magic. She's trying to, as an engineer would, reverse engineer the magic to see how does this work? How does it do this? She hears Natalie call her, and she immediately was like, oh my gosh, like it worked. She said it worked. And what I like about this is like she's so excited because she's like, oh my God, my friend is back. And if you noticed, and this is something that I think will be a point of contention or something that we might have to consider, she called her my overly advanced AI. Now, I believe prior to this, she already knew that she was an AI, obviously, but she's calling her an overly advanced AI. And I believe that, yes, we know that she obviously makes a wish with, or she makes a deal. And by the way, this was dope. This was just dope. The fact that they showed Mephisto in that spoon, that was beautiful. Because I was really hoping we would see what he looks like in full, that hint right there, great. But he makes the deal. He makes the offer. And he's like, listen, whatever you want. And then all of a sudden, she touches her, right? She touches her. And what I think is so interesting about this is this surprises Riri. This surprised her. She was not expecting for Natalie to actually touch her and physically, at all. She made the deal. She definitely asked, hey, make sure nobody else gets involved with this. Like, it's only me. And she obviously accepts the deal because we see classically she got a bad case of eczema on her arm, right? But here's what I'm thinking. I think that Riri actually did ask Mephisto to bring her friend back. And I don't think she meant, hey, bring her back from the dead. I think Riri believed that in her wish, she was going to get her friend back, as in the AI. So, in other words, remember, she did not know how to get the AI version of Natalie back. Plus, I don't think she knew how powerful Mephisto was. So I don't think she was like, hey, can you bring my friend back from the dead? I don't think she knew all of that. She was just like, I want my friend Natalie back, right? The AI that I had, that I was trying to get, but I didn't have time or whatever. So I think, especially when you see her at the drawing board and she's like trying to go through all these equations, she was trying to figure out how to incorporate magic and the AI coding and stuff and put that together to bring her back that way. That's why when she first saw her, she was like, oh, look, my overly advanced AI. So the fact that she was able to touch her, and for the fact that it shocked her, I think what ends up happening is going to be one of two things. One, either Natalie is an advanced AI, or that's really her back from the dead. Now, I am going to be under the impression that she's just a much more advanced AI. Because I think that if you go into bringing her back from the dead, that's going to lead into other problems, but I'll talk about that at another time. I think Natalie right now, she is the AI. She just so happens to be AI with magic. And the closest I can tell you would be the comparison to that would be Vision, right? Vision was technology, but it was technology mixed in with some of Thor's lightning and all that stuff. So I'm thinking this might not actually be the real Natalie. I think this is a weird magical technological fusion of the two. That's my theory anyway. Anyway, we do have a little bit more here. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how is Riri going to keep this under wraps. You know, she's going to have to wear long sleeves for a long time. And we do see Zelma here getting a visit from Parker, and he's like, yo, I need some of that magic, that supreme magic. And there is the possibility that, you know, that he might want to, that this might lead into the Strange Academy. And the Strange Academy, in case you did not know, that is going to be potentially a TV series, or maybe even a movie. And that's where, you know, at Comertage, they teach all these younger people about magic and stuff like that. So maybe this is a lead in for that. And I don't know if she knows if that's Parker, like the same one that was the Hood. I don't know if she knows that connection or not. But anyway, so a couple of things. I like how Riri now has a suit powered by magic. I think that what this does mean is that she's going to be a pivotal character in the upcoming Avengers Secret Wars, maybe even Doomsday, because Doctor Strange also uses tech with magic, right? Like he's always been basically a combination of Doctor Strange and Tony Stark if they went evil, right? In some way. So I do like that. And especially if you saw What If, you saw little elements of Riri in her little episode of What If. Something else to consider is that, like, we don't know, like when Riri was analyzing the Hood, we don't know if the MCU is going to do something different from the comics. You know, there was mention of Chthon, who is the author of Chaos, Energy, and Magic. But at the same time, you got Dormammu being thrown in the mix. And then you got Mephisto, who seems to come from, or at least use maybe the same chaos energy. Like, We don't know if they're all coming from the same place, if they're coming from different places. So I just say that because I know a lot of times people like to run to the comics. Marvel is not comic accurate. Like they might make stuff up along the way. So we just have to kind of keep that in mind. But anyway, that's it for episode 6. Ooh, I see a whole lot of comments. Okay, let me grab these. Hold on. Omar, I think Mephisto helped Riri defeat the Hood. I also think that Coogler had part in the ending arc. Maybe. I mean, he's an executive producer, so it's possible that he definitely was like involved, in some way, shape, or form. Now, as for Riri getting help, maybe. I would like to believe that Hood was probably just more so a test for her, because I don't think Mephisto ever really cared about Hood. He didn't want Hood. He didn't need Hood. He likes Riri, right? Like she's special. So that's someone that he cares about more. So I think it was more so a test. Be like, listen, are you the real deal? And I think she proved that was the case. JN, give Ironheart a solid B, solid show, some dry spots, issues with writing at times. Marvel should do like DC and doing with Clayface, 50 million budget, make a movie. I don't know if this would have worked as a movie. I think this probably would have done worse. Because you're asking for a bigger commitment from people. You're asking them to get up, go out, pay money, to go see this versus here. I think they did the best that they could with this. They definitely could have promoted it more, but they dropped it. They gave you 3 episodes at a time. I think that was satisfying, and it had a really good ending. At least to me, I like the whole Mephisto reveal. I thought that was worth it. Mike, as soon as I seen who was cast, I knew exactly who he was. Just looks devilish. He definitely has that look. And the funny thing is, there were rumors about his involvement a long time ago. I think we even covered it here. But to see it confirmed, that's great. I like it. I'm down with it. And I think he can play the role very well. He's actually a really good actor. I know people kind of, oh, it's Borat. No, like Sasha's actually a really good actor, Frigga, they better figure out Blade. That's what I want. Listen, this could easily lead into Midnight Suns situation. Absolutely. This could lead right into something like that. So we can see. Mike, again, pizza with a knife and fork, demonic work. Absolutely diabolical. This is how you knew from the jump you could not trust him. Absolutely not. 1000%. It's just, unless maybe if it was deep dish, maybe. That's about it. That's about it. Chris, what you got? These days, $10 is just enough to be that guy who brings the store brand soda to the cookout. Happy 4th of July. You reviewing the show made it feel 10 times better. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate that. Definitely. I mean, listen, I'll be honest. I was not going to go through this show. But when I saw that certain wing of the section of the internet that was just getting all up in, I was like, you know what? Y'all gonna bring this. I hope this gets more eyeballs. I hope it does. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. Frigga, back at it. What you got? Tony would say magic is just science we don't understand yet. Riri is now embodying that. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's exactly what he would say. I agree with that. And it's a shame that we don't have him around to interact with that. Tracy, what if Nat was never AI? What if Mephisto made her? Not outside the realm of possibility. I would think, though, just because of the MCU, they would go out their way to show some sort of evidence of that. So, you would see some of that red chaos energy on her laptop somewhere, or you would see a hexagon or something. I think that they would show you that more so than not. That would be my guess. But thank you for that. I mean, it's not to say that he hasn't played a part. He's obviously played a part in manipulating things, but we'll see. JN Mephisto will be in Black Panther 3, gives Akibi his powers. Okay, sure. I mean, I think at this point, Mephisto's obviously going to be a major influence throughout the MCU. And it would be foolish of Marvel not to incorporate him one way or another, because the fan hype around Mephisto, it feels like, oh, y'all finally listen. Oh, y'all finally are going to do that thing that we've been asking for all this time. So, if you drop the ball with this now, and he's a perfect villain to use, because I mean, the real question is, how do you stop Mephisto? Like, who do you don't throw the Avengers at Mephisto. Like, you need Doctor Strange, and I don't even know if Doctor Strange is going to be able to stop Mephisto like that. Now T'Challa's gone against Mephisto in the comics, but people ain't ready for that. They not ready for that. JN, Ironheart, and Doctor Strange 3, maybe. I mean, I was reading this interview from Ryan Coogler and the writer, and he was talking about how, like, they love the idea of how, of all places, Mephisto would show up on a street level in Chicago, right? Like, it's just so unexpected. So my guess is that you probably don't want him to show up. I mean, Marvel, he doesn't need to show up in Doctor Strange. And he probably doesn't need to show up in Black Panther. Now, let me just point this out. I do like, actually, let me address that too before I get into that. Doesn't Mephisto need to be outsmarted rather than defeated? Yes. And that's something that I think a Doctor Strange or someone else could do, right? I actually wouldn't be surprised if, you can't throw him with Doctor Doom, not yet, even though that would be interesting because Doctor Doom has ties to Mephisto as well. Mephisto has his mother's soul, and she made a deal with Mephisto to make Doctor Doom. Now, we don't know if that's going to be canon here, but we'll see. But yes, outsmarting him would be the thing to do. I could totally see Doctor Strange doing something like, hey, let me make a deal with you. And the same way Doctor Strange outsmarted Dormammu, he would have to find a way to outsmart Mephisto. So one other thing I do want to mention, and this is probably just one, this is one disappointment that I had with Ironheart, especially knowing Ryan Coogler was involved. And it had to do with the magic. Yes, we know that magic in the MCU exists and all that. But what I found interesting was when Zelma started basically creating her own magic, right? Like, she's doing her own thing, even though she's learned a little bit from Kamar-Taj and all that. I was a little disappointed that they didn't actually go right for the nose and just give them black magic. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, does everybody got to learn from Kamar-Taj? Does everybody got to go through that same system? You mean to tell me that there aren't other places, other ways to learn different types of magic out there? I really sat here thinking to myself, like, it would not surprise me in the least bit if Wakanda had, maybe not part of like the main tribes, if there was another tribe that actually had their own type of Wakandan magic, right? And not only that, that to me seems like a perfect way to introduce someone down the line like Brother Voodoo. I don't like the idea of Brother Voodoo coming in and having the same type of magic that Doctor Strange has. I want him to have his own type of stuff, right? So anyway, I thought that was kind of like a missed opportunity. I think that they absolutely could have given Black Girl Magic its own little lane right there, or even just African spirituality type of magic, just something else different. But anyway, that's just what I thought. If y'all thought that, or if anybody else has any opinions, let me know what you think in the comments down below. I got another one here. Marriage, what you got? Riri makes a deal with the devil. She clearly is compromised. Are they going to have a second season of Ironheart? I don't know. A second season? So a second season would require high ratings and high viewership, because if they have any excuse not to give it a second season, that's what they're going to look at. They need to be able to justify it for the investors and all that. So I don't know what the ratings are for this last season. I don't know, I haven't looked at the Rotten Tomatoes or anything like that. But if listen, if people keep Ironheart on repeat, if they get them viewing numbers up, I think that would compel them to do a season 2. But my guess is if it's not high enough, they will just tell Riri's stories through other people's stories, right? So I wouldn't hold my breath for a second season. I wouldn't mind it, but if they did, I'm gonna need a different writer. I'm sorry, or just bring in a different team. Something. Y'all cannot keep on with this writing. I'm sorry. It's just. I'm not even trying to put a black sister down or nothing, but this had issues. Anyway, let's go ahead. This is the time where I need you guys to give me your rating for Ironheart. You might as well go ahead and just do the whole season. But actually, yeah, let's review this as the whole season, not just this last 3. Okay. Season overall, 0 to 10. What are y'all giving Ironheart? So I think for myself, I liked some of the acting. I thought that at times there was too much overacting. The writing obviously is the biggest problem. There's no sugarcoating that. I cannot sit here and just act like that was not a constant barrier for me. The dialogue was just not believable. It wasn't authentic. I did not like in the storytelling how they would compromise Riri multiple times just for the sake of an emotional payoff. Did not think that was I didn't think that was executed well. I did enjoy the visuals. I thought the visuals were handled very well. I did like her suits. Her suits were dope. I like the scenes with her suits. I like the whole storyline with Natalie. I like the emotional component of her dealing with grief and the death of her stepdad and her friend. I thought they handled that very well. Sacha Baron Cohen, fantastic as Mephisto. Great performance with that. Did not like how they handled the crew. Things did not add up. They didn't feel consistent. With the siblings and the fighting and stuff. Like, what are we talking about here? Shout out to Parker, buddy that Anthony Ramos did a fantastic job. He played his role. He did his part. Did a good job in that. And overall, I think that while the journey was a bumpy ride. It was a bumpy ride. I think the ending did save it for me. I like the ending. I like the implications of the ending. I've told y'all I'm a destination kind of person. It's even if it's a bumpy ride, if the ending is cool, I'm with it. So I definitely enjoyed the fact that we got this not only as a big moment for the character of Riri, but for the MCU. What is Mephisto going to be like for the rest of the MCU moving forward? So anyway, and I also have to note, I really think that it was incredibly helpful to break these up in the format and way that we got them. If we had gotten these weekly, this would have been a bad experience. There's no way I think you could stretch this whole series out for 6 weeks. So to give us this series in just 2 weeks and 3 episodes at a time, I think that was actually the best course to go about it. Yeah, I appreciate that. So anyway, when it comes to the rating for Ironheart season 1, overall, I think I'll probably give it a 7. And I'm only giving it that little extra half point because of the Chicago themes. That I did like that. They nailed that. And I'm gonna be a little biased on that. So I'll give it a 7. Not the best series, not at all, but not trash either. Like, this was enjoyable for the most part. Yeah. So I'll give it a 7 out of 10. All right. Let's see. How do people feel though? Let me see, what are y'all rating it? We go up. Okay. I'm here. All right. I got a 7.5. I got a 6, 6.5, a 5. Um, I got a 8.5, 7, 7.5, 6, 6. Ooh, a 9. Okay. 7.6, 7.5, 7.5, 8, 8. Let me get you here. Hold on. 5, 7, 5, 7, 6.5, 8.5, 8, 7, 5.5. Okay. I got a 6, 7. What else do I have? I got a 7, 7, 6, 6. Who else? I miss somebody? No, I got okay, I got you. 7.2, 6.5, 9, 6.8. Okay, come on through. Oh, 5, 7. Any more? I think we're good. I think we're caught up. Okay. And a 7.5. Okay. Listen, it's okay. It's okay. At least based off of what I could see from what y'all saying here, it was all right. Wasn't great, wasn't terrible. It's all right. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Hold on, I got some more comments here. Puma Mephisto, it was in the Midnight Suns game. Yeah, yeah. And I'm pretty sure that anytime you're dealing with something, mystical or whatever, he'll be in there too. Matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised if he showed up in Daredevil. Remember, Daredevil also kind of played around with the mystical stuff with the hand, so I can see that happening. That would be interesting. Django, what you got? Hey man, I hated this show. Oh my. It feel like it was written by racists. Okay. They leaned in the stereotypes. No black father, killed in a drive-by. She kept stealing. Ghetto Jarvis promoting criminality. 3 out of 10. Okay. Well, it was written by a black woman, so I wouldn't say it was racist. And I don't know if it was stereotypes per se, but it is what it is. It is what it is. So, but hey, if that's how you felt, that's how you felt. So, all right. All right, guys. I think that's it. I think that's it. I can't wait. If Midnight Suns, they need to make that. I need that. I need that. That will be great. That would be great. But anyway, all right, guys, that's it. Like I said, I will share my theory on Friday, probably at the end of the show, just to kind of make sure everybody has a chance to watch about who I think the clients are for Mephisto and the overall impact it will have for the MCU. You don't want to miss that. And yeah, that's it. So, guys, make sure you have a great rest of your week. I will see you guys on Friday. Make sure you know the routine. Wash your hands, wash your butts, and everything in between. Until next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace.